Hey everybody, it's me, Steve SCHNEE, the CD Junkie. And on this episode of CD Junkie, I'm going to be discussing the kings of modern rockabilly. That's right, I am talking about the Stray Cats. Now, I'm not going to talk about Brian Setzer's solo career. That's probably a whole nother video, lots of great releases. And the other releases that the other guys have been involved with, like Phantom Rocker and Slick and things like that. I'm just going to focus on the studio albums by the Stray Cats. Now, I like to start these episodes out and tell you how I got into the band, and essentially, this is a little foggy here, because it was early 1981, and I don't remember if I first started hearing Rock This Town on KROQ, the radio station in LA, Orange County, or if I heard about them through our friend Rick Invelt, who was big on rockabilly, and he had been like a Roy Orbison, Elvis fan growing up, so he was really keen and focused in on all the things that were happening on the then burgeoning rockabilly scene. So I'm not sure, but they must have been about the same time. So that would have been 1981, and that would have been where we start. This is the very first Stray Cats album. It is just self-titled. That's Slim Jim Phantom on drums, Lee Rocker on bass, and Brian Setzer on lead vocals and guitar. And of course, Lee and Slim Jim, they also provided vocals as well. But this is the first album. This is the one that has Rock This Town and Runaway Boys, Fishnet Stockings. This is a fantastic album. Here's the back of it. You can see some of the songs there. I'll move my fingers. Now, the Stray Cats were an American band, but they had to go to England in order to get a record deal and become popular. Before they became popular in the U.S., thanks to like MTV and radio stations like KROQ. But this was 1981, and it was produced by Dave Edmunds. That's right, the Dave Edmunds, Rockpile, tons of solo stuff. And Dave Edmunds is a real rocker, so he was perfect to produce this album. Later that year, that's right, same year, they put out a second album called Gonna Ball. Now, this was produced by the band and Heinhoven, and it's another great collection. It wasn't as instantly lovable as the first album, but after 2 or 3 spins, you were like, oh, yeah, these guys are absolutely fantastic. They sort of stretched out a little bit beyond rockabilly, maybe adding a little bit more blues or a little bit more rock and roll, but it still had that great Stray Cats rockabilly sound. So that is that second album, came out in 1981. Now, these two albums were not released in the U.S. What they did is they took maybe the best of those two albums, and they released Built for Speed. Now, Built for Speed, the song itself, was new to this collection, but this was the first American album. This is the one that a lot of people probably know them best by, because it has Runaway Boys, Rock This Town, Rev It Up and Go, and all those great songs. This was really their breakthrough album in the U.S. Fantastic, great songs. And if you can't find these, then get this. If you can't find this, then get these. Get any Stray Cats studio album. The next album was Rant and Rave with the Stray Cats. That came out in 1983. Also produced by Dave Edmunds. This had a lot of the hits like She's Sexy 17. One of the best songs on this wasn't their biggest hit, but it's in fact one of my favorite Stray Cat songs, and it's called I Won't Stand in Your Way, and it just sounds like just great classic sort of doo-wop, and it's just absolutely wonderful. It's just so heartfelt. But this is a great collection here. Here's the songs again. This is 1983. And this was a huge record for them. They were all over MTV and selling out live gigs. This is really the album that pushed them just straight into the stratosphere of fame and hopefully fortune. And that's Rant and Rave with the Stray Cats. Sadly, they sort of split up, or at least went on hiatus for quite a few years. Actually, 3 years to be exact. But in 1986, they returned with Rock Therapy. Now, of course, that album title, Rock Therapy, is a little disheartening because it makes you think of maybe more of Quiet Riot or White Lion or any of those bands. But this is pure, great rockabilly. Maybe a little more edgy than the previous releases, but still just a fantastic collection of rockabilly tracks by the Stray Cats. That's Rock Therapy. That came out in 1986. That was produced by the band, I believe. There you go there. That's a great record. Definitely check it out. Took another 3 years, and out comes the album Blast Off. Pairing up with producer Dave Edmunds again. This is a return to classic Stray Cats sound. I say that like, oh my gosh, they were so different on Rock Therapy. No, it's just saying it on the video. Every album is filled with gems. So anyway, there is that right there. That is Blast Off. Came out in 1989. Definitely worth your time. In fact, I think I like this more than Rock Therapy. It's a lot more loose, and they seem to be having a lot more fun on this record. So there you go there. And in 1990, they returned with Let's Go Faster. And this album, I believe, was only released in like Australia and Japan. Maybe another few countries. It was not released in the U.S. And here's the surprise. Produced by Nile Rodgers. Now, it's not Stray Chic or Chic Cats. This is a classic rockin' Stray Cats album. And it's just called Let's Go Faster. I'm so surprised that this never made it out in the U.S. I have no idea why. I don't even know if it made it out in England. But it is really fantastic. Yes, it is a little bit more rockin'. It sounds like a couple of songs are more rock and roll based than rockabilly, but it's classic because you've got Slim Jim, Lee, and Brian, and they're creating great music together. If you don't own that, you need to add it to your collection. 2 years later, they put out an American album called Choo Choo Hot Fish, and this was produced by Dave Edmunds. So back to that classic Stray Cats, Dave Edmunds team up. Another great collection. Elvis on Velvet is probably the most well-known song off of this. There's a song in here called Cross of Love that they re-recorded from this album. And I believe that's the only song that they re-recorded from Choo Choo Hot Fish and Let's Go Faster. So definitely check that out, Choo Choo Hot Fish. This is pretty easy to find, I believe. There's the cover again. The following year, they put out an album called Original Cool. Now, I have to tell you, just looking at this album cover, and it's called Original Cool, and I thought to myself, oh, it's just another one of those cheap budget collections of live recordings. Because, when the Stray Cats were really big, there were a lot of these labels like Receiver or whoever in the UK, and they were putting out these live collections and just constantly repackaging older material. But this album here is actually a brand new album of cover versions. Were actually brand new from 1993. And another producer change. This was produced by Jeff Skunk Baxter, best known for his work with Steely Dan and Doobie Brothers. And this is a collection of covers, and it's all classic friggin' Stray Cats. They still sound great together. There's such a chemistry. It doesn't sound like they're going through the motions. It sounds like when they get together, they do it and they have fun. Now, this album came out in 1993. Took another 26 years before they returned to the studio with the album 40. This is a brand new album produced by Peter Collins. Now, that's another surprise because Peter Collins produced people like Nick Kershaw, the Lambrettos, all these great albums that I loved from the 80s. And he just does a great job on this album and really brings the band to life again. And it's really a fun collection of songs. It's classic Stray Cats. They have a certain sound. They're just not another rockabilly sound. They sound like the Stray Cats. And there's various collections, live albums, stuff that you can buy by the Stray Cats. But the one that I really recommend, if you could get a hold of it, is this one here. And this is really a great career retrospective. It's a single disc, but the real gem on this is the Stray Cats version of You Can't Hurry Love, which was a B-side, and that made it on this compilation. But just look at all those songs, jam-packed, full of Stray Cats goodness. And that is it for this episode of CD Junkie. I hope this inspires you to maybe go out and check out some Stray Cats. Maybe you might have forgot them and just remember them by Rock This Town. If you love rockabilly, if you love just the joy of three guys getting together and making music, then you're definitely going to love this. It's rootsy, it's beefy, it's melodic, it's hook-filled, it's energetic, it's catchy, it's inspiring. So definitely check that out. And I appreciate you sitting there and letting me babble about Stray Cats. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, and to let other people know about this video and to get the views up and get my videos out there so we can promote this great music together. But that's it. I appreciate you hanging out. Remember me, Steve SCHNEE, the CD Junkie.